Nick.
Yes.
Scarlett from Fredericksburg.
Scarlett, is great to see you in person.
I know.
How are you? Wow, far out. Very cool. How are you doing?
Good.
I'm doing okay. Are you still over at, oh, don't tell me the schools. All right, just tell me this. Redbud, that's what it is, yeah. It's where my nieces and nephew used to go. So cool, very cool. How are things going with STEM?
They're going great for STEM. They're pretty much what they do.
Good. Thought they should.
Well, my principal's good about. I'm like, hey, this is what's on paper. This is what I'm going to do. He's like, okay.
Cool. Good. Well, it's great to see you in person. Thanks for coming up. I really appreciate it. Let me introduce you real quick. This is Lori Martin from Chesapeake.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
And this is Christina Lee from Loudoun County Public Schools.
Nice to meet you. So I'm handsome.
All right, so Scholar works out in Frederick, Virginia, not Frederick, Maryland. I'm sure you get that all the time.
I do.
Which is where I live. So I live in Frederick County. So she's out there rocking STEM and rocking computer science. Like she's been integrating computer science standards for the last couple of years. So she's paving the way in Frederick County.
Like we were talking yesterday, like, I have first graders coding their own apps.
Right.
But then I have high school kids working.
Right.
Yeah. We have to do something and like they leave, my babies leave me and I'm nothing else.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That's great, correct. So like when my kids left Loudoun, Lily was like really big in the theater. There's no theater program.
Compared to other,
Right.
so.
It breaks my heart. Like even culinary. Like
Yeah.
my son wanted to take,
I know.
he's really big into cooking.
Yeah.
Like literally, okay, this is funny. Our hotel had a compliment breakfast and they had pre-made omelets. And-
Father did.
Well, I took pictures and I was like, hey, check it out. Like there's pre-made omelets. He's like, that's cool. And my 17-year-old son never says anything that I sent to school. But like he's wanted to cook and he just like experiments in my kitchen, sets fires and all that stuff. But like he wants to do it, but we don't have that.
They don't have a CT program there? Or
We have CT, but we don't have facts.
Yeah.
There's no
And so
facts.
like I had students, I taught at Country Day in Jefferson County. I have a student who works for the Bavarian Inn now because he went through James Rumsey in.
You have to go extra
Yeah.
beyond school.
Well, I think part of the
But
problem.
they sent him in high school. So he like went straight from graduated from Jefferson High School and right into, he was at the racetrack for a while and now he's the head coach at the Bavarian.
The problem, I work for Chesapeake, and I work in our CT department, and I think the problem we see, we do have all those, but the problem is having teachers, like we're
Yeah.
lacking, whatever, is struggling finding teachers, but especially in facts, because, and I think even in technology, there's not that many programs nowadays that you can graduate, they used to be a long time ago, you know, you could go to school and you graduate with that certification, but they just aren't there anymore. That's part of the problem, I think.
Yeah.
See, we're having a problem. They told one of our math teachers, like, at Norfolk, to teach computer science. I can't get it as teacher. And so, yeah, I mean, it's bad.
Well, let's wrap some more.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. I'm so glad you're out here, Scarlett. It's great. Awesome. So we're gonna get started in just a minute. If you want to jump onto Nearpod so you can get this presentation, we're also going to collect a little bit of data. If you've not used Nearpod before, all you have to do is just open up your web browser and just go to join.nearpod.com and just add in that particular string of letters. Get started in just a minute. Folks at home see it? Oh, there's a camera. Okay. Hi, folks at home. I did want to do that. I think it's great that the camera's right there.
It's actually that one that's.
Oh, it's that one. Sorry. You're really laughing now.
Y'all can't get away with it.
When I was a real teacher, like some of you all, I wanted to have like cameras in my English classroom so bad. My principal wouldn't let me. I wanted to have 3. just like, Cressida, you're crazy. Not getting any cameras. Is everyone good with the Nearpod?
Now they're everywhere.
Yeah, now there's too many. If I hear breakout room one more time. I just say that out loud. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Really glad that you came out for this presentation. I'm going to introduce my co-presenters in just a minute because they're not just my co-presenters, they're my friends. We've been working on constructing a computer science pipeline now for almost 2 years, and we meet pretty regularly during the week. And Lori is from Chesapeake Public Schools. Let's just do introductions now. So Lori, go ahead.
So my name is Lori Martin, and I am from Chesapeake Public Schools, which is down near like Virginia Beach, Norfolk area. And I have been fortunate enough to work with Christina for the past 1.5 to 2 years on building this computer science pipeline. And we can kind of explain a little bit about how we got together after we introduce ourselves. But it's great to have you here.
And good morning, everyone. My name is Christina Lee. I'm the Experiential Learning Coordinator for the Computer Science Office at LCPS. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about my role at LCPS, and I'm excited for you all to learn more about us.
And I'm Nick Rosita. I'm the Computer Science Supervisor for Loudoun County Public Schools. And my position was created along with Lori and along with Christina's back in 2020 when we were awarded a Go Virginia grant in collaboration with DHCD for $2.4 million. And so with that money, what we've been able to do is provide a blueprint for a computer science pipeline. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so what we want to do is we're sharing this presentation with you. So if you can see the bit.ly up there, you can copy this Google slide presentation. And I learned from one of my colleagues, Mickey Laycock, a couple of years ago, that you put the bit.ly link on every single slide. That way someone doesn't say like, can you go 4 slides back for the bit.ly?
Yeah.
So look at this magic. It's right there. And of course, you already joined the Nearpod, but for those of you who might not have grabbed the Nearpod at the beginning, you can always see the Nearpod code in the upper left-hand corner. I don't work for Nearpod, but if I was a real teacher like you all, I would just absolutely love this feature right here, like where you can see that someone left the class and you can be like, why are you leaving the class? Like, why is that red? Come back. Leslie, come back. No, I'm just kidding, Leslie. I'm just picking on you. That's what happens when you know people. All right. So we put our contact information up there because part of what we have created is not just for us, not just for Chesapeake, not just for Loudoun. As I was telling Chris Dovey last night, as I was telling Megan Graybill last night from Code BA, what's that? Whoop, I thought you said who. I was like, yeah, well, you might not know them. They're not that cool. Just kidding. Well, maybe I'm not. Are we on camera? No. But seriously, as I was telling them last night, like this is for the Commonwealth. We're not doing this in isolation. It doesn't make any sense. As I was telling my friend Scarlett, who lives in my home county of Frederick, Virginia, not Frederick, Maryland, it doesn't make sense that we can't support each other. We're both in Region 4. Loudoun, Fairfax, Arlington, I just said some bad words to some of you right there. Like we are all Region 4, including Fauquier and Frederick.
Shenandoah.
And Shenandoah.
Somehow.
And Clark. Like these are school divisions that are a lot smaller, but we are all in Region 4 and we need to support one another. So this is what this pipeline is all about. We're going to talk today about the metrics. Of course, these are obvious metrics that we want to take a look at. So we're collecting this, we're collecting data and we'll be publishing this on our website. Christina and I were just able to get this data just a few weeks ago and we're going to put it up on our website. But we're going to show you the trend of the number of students enrolled in advanced high school computer science courses, how that's going up. We're going to share some of that data with you today, but we're going to show all of our classes in Loudoun County and how that's going up. Christina's going to talk about the number of businesses that she collaborates with. So is Lori. And so our presentation is based on that. How do we do that? Why do we do that? I mean, the why is a lot easier than the how. But we have small ideas to share with you that have a huge impact. We're also going to talk about the number of students completing internships. What is an internship? What is experiential learning? How do we differentiate those from work-based learning experiences? Think about our CTE departments and how those are so rigorous with those guidelines. Have to have 180 hours, have to have 280 hours, have to have 50 hours. Like And so Christina is going to talk about the benefit of having an experiential learning program where we don't have to have those restrictions and how she works with companies to keep our students safe. And then finally, we're going to talk about how that increase of our number of students who select computer science as a major on the SATs, the ACTs, how those numbers are going up. Why wouldn't they, right? Why wouldn't they? We have a 36,000 job deficit of cybersecurity people in the Commonwealth alone right now. And so we're trying to fill that. And what is Booz Allen telling us right now? Booz Allen is telling us, we don't care if your kids go to college. We'll take them right now. Don't send them to college, in fact, because that's 4 years and we're not going to get it. So we need to prepare our kids. And that's another reason why we have this. I'm almost done talking, I promise. These are our deliverables that we're going to talk about. Christina and Lori are miracle workers because during a global pandemic, they were able to get 275 internships for our students and build relationships with local companies so that we can continue building that number. They've each held 3 division-wide internship fairs. Christina and Lori held 3 last year. Lori, it was 2 or 3? Was it 3?
I've held 2 so far.
2. And Lori didn't have the same metrics as Christina last year. She didn't have to host any, but she held 1, I think 1 or 2 last year. And Christina's already held 1 this year. And she's going to talk about how she did that virtually so that we can provide those opportunities. And they're pretty fantastic. The integrated computer science curriculum. Yesterday and the day before, part of my team released the 3rd grade integration document to share out across the Commonwealth. And that's something that I can provide you as well, like our actual documents. Yes.
I said, please.
Yes, absolutely. And what I also discussed with Christo a little bit last night, we have 5 measurement tools to gauge the success of that curriculum. Because one of the things that we do really well in education is we like to throw things at teachers and say, do it. But we don't measure it. We don't reflect on it. And we don't try to modify that practice. Instead, we just sit there and say, gotcha. We're trying to avoid that as well. So we have a depository, it's Go Open VA. If you know Gene Weller, we love Gene Weller. We support everything that Go Open VA has. And that is where our repository is going to be. It's already there right now. We have a collection, but we're going to continue to build that. And then finally, Lori and Christina are going to talk about the Experiential Learning Handbook that they built. You don't have to build those permission forms yourself, the MOUs, all that is stuff that they've already created and will share with you. That's our job. So, real quick, for everyone here and at home, don't need to approve. We just want to know real quick, what do you hope to get out of this session? So if you don't mind, just take about 2 minutes to just type up your responses. We just want to collect that data. What are you hoping to get out of this particular presentation? So type that up and you should be extremely thankful because after 2 minutes, Lori is going to start talking and you don't have to hear me. Thank you, Leslie. Awesome. And if someone posts a comment that you were going to post, feel free to just say +1 or click the heart. Cool. I don't work for Nearpod, but I really like it. Nearpod, if you're listening, maybe. I don't know. Cool. All right, Lori, whenever
Awesome.
you're on.
Awesome. All right, great. Thank you. Again, my name is Lori Martin, and I work for Chesapeake Public Schools. My role is, my title is called a STEAM Cte Coordinator. So I actually do work in our Cte department. That's kind of how, when we were awarded this grant, that's how Chesapeake decided to kind of run this computer science initiative through, because through Cte, I don't know if you're familiar, if we are able to have Perkins funding. So we were able to we were building some computer science classes in our middle schools. So in order to sustain that, that's why we chose to run that through CTE, because we're able to sustain those programs. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing, and then I'll turn it over to Christina. All right, so first thing for metrics, as Nick mentioned, when we first came on, we were told we needed to have 275 internships. I will say I was a little nervous because it was right in the middle of the pandemic. And I met with Christina. We were like, how are we going to do this? I'm happy to say that so far at Chesapeake, we're a little bit smaller division. We currently have about 100 plus internships we've been able to do. And that a lot has come through just the collaboration within our CT departments, within our academies. We've done some virtual internships and really having some buy-in from some businesses this past summer that agreed to have some students come in, because those companies really saw the need of this workforce, this lack of students coming out, and they know that they needed to help with that. So that's one of the metrics we were able to do. The other thing is Internship Spheres. We were required to have, Christina was required to have 6. I was required to have 3 Internship Fairs. Again, with the pandemic, we weren't really sure how we were going to do it. So just like kind of how we were scheduled with this conference through SCED, I kind of tagged on what Christina was doing. We went through the SCED platform and actually worked out really well. We had a great response. I ended up doing one last March. I wasn't really supposed to do one until this year. But what happened last year is I was reaching out to businesses, asking about internship programs and apprenticeships, and a lot of them were hesitant because they were still working remotely. So, but they still I didn't want to lose that connection. So I decided to go ahead and have an internship fair last March. So for a lot of those businesses I've been reaching out to participate in it. And the SCED platform worked out really well because businesses could be at home, be at work, or whether they're working remotely, and they could kind of log in and they could participate. Another great tool, we were able to have a representative from Google who came in at the beginning and did a resume workshop, and he was out of the New York City office. So that kind of helped that because we would not have been able to do that in person. And as you know, students, they listen from the outside. Hearing someone from Google tell them what they need to be doing is a lot different than someone else telling them. So that helped a lot. The other thing is we developed a computer science website. We didn't have anything. We have a CTE kind of website that talks about our different CT programs, but there wasn't anything on there about computer science. So there's a link on there. I'm going to add some more things to some metrics and stuff like Nick had mentioned to that. The other thing is we put together Experiential Learning Handbook. So there's some resources. I do have some other documents and things I'm going to add to that because even this year, we have come up with another MOU and a training agreement, things like that, that I'm going to add to that handbook. The other big piece is, again, like I mentioned, we came up with a universal training agreement that can be used with our CTE work-based learning, as well as with these internships. So there's a district-wide training agreement that we're using that's been approved through our school board attorney, and also I sent it to VDOE, and they approved that as well with the language in there. So there's a copy of that there if you want to use that, and that's for students who are going out and doing experiences. It's just a safe tool, so you're not held liable for students going out in the workplace. The other big piece is the Computer Science Advisory Board. I was able to create, we had a CTE advisory board, and there's different advisory boards. There wasn't one strictly for computer science. And last year, again, going out and talking to businesses, they weren't quite ready to have students come out, but they still wanted to help. And so it kind of brought them together. We met several times last year and this year, and through those partnerships, I was able to build those internship programs and some other summer activities. So that really helped a lot. And then the other big piece is in Chesapeake, when our superintendent and folks first wrote this grant, they did a survey and only 2% of our students were taking any type of higher level computer science classes. So they really saw, hey, we need to do something about this. We did not have anything in our middle schools. And so we created last year, worked on some curriculum, and we created 3 computer science classes, one in 6th grade, one in 7th grade, and one in 8th grade. So we had teachers who worked on that curriculum. This past summer, we were able to hire 10 teachers because we have 10 middle schools. And we advertised for the classes last year. We had webinars for students. We did a lot of advertising before registration. And luckily, we have all 10 middle schools are full with students. And so we're really hoping that number is going to grow. I've been going out visiting them quite a bit. Students are very, very excited. The teachers are really doing a lot this week within their classes, within their buildings, because once they get back from Christmas, students will start registering for classes. And so they want to make sure that the students who are in 6th and 7th grade now kind of see all the fun things they're doing. So they'll sign up for those classes next year. The big piece, like I mentioned, the advisory board, one of the things I did right away is I went to our Chamber of Commerce website and I listed I printed every business that has anything to do with technology, and I reached out to them last year. So really building a lot of community engagement. I started going to all the Chamber of Commerce meetings, all our EDAC meetings, economic development meetings. So now when I go now, they already know who I am. They know where we're doing. They understand the computer science. One of our directors went to a meeting recently that I wasn't a part of, and they had several people from the Commerce mention, oh yeah, we know Lori, Miss Martin, and we know about the computer science. And so I really think just getting out there and talking about it has been very, very beneficial. And just letting them know, because I think the biggest drawback I've found is a lot of businesses don't want to have students under 18. So really getting that buy-in for the company to give those students opportunities. Let's see. Another thing we did this past summer, I am going to mention for the grant part of it for Chesapeake, what I've been concentrating on is middle school and high school. We definitely are having integration within our elementary schools, but when we were awarded this grant, it was specifically designed for 6th to 12th grade. So when I'm talking about it, that's what I'm talking about. This past summer, over the left-hand side, we decided to do a rising, our division acquired quite a bit of money through the pandemic with funding. And so we were able to offer a lot more programs. And so one of the ones we did, we offered a rising 5th grade program this past summer. It was for 5 weeks. Students could pick 1 week, get it in every borough in our city. And in that, students would come and they would do a day of family consumer science, because we went through CTE, tech ed, and then computer science. And really the reason why we picked that is because those 5th graders, when they're signing up right now for what classes they want to take next year, they're going to remember, oh yeah, last summer, I took these classes and I want to take that elective. And so as students were leaving the summer, I asked them what their favorite one was, and computer science was one of them. We bought equipment. They were doing Spheres and Edisons and drones and just having a lot of fun and engaging time. We also did, on the right-hand side, we did some middle school programs. I was able to partner with VCU, and that was through a connection through the Computer Science Advisory Board. And they offered a Code Beats program for our students. It was virtual, so students did it throughout the summer. We had over 150 some students who participated, and it was a really great experience. And through that connection, they now would like us to, they're going to pay for it, have students come up and tour VCU, Virginia State, look at their computer science and STEM programs. And so that's something that, because we participated last year, they reached out to me and they want to do 2 busloads of kids that participated last summer. So kind of working on that. We wanted to do it this fall, but because of COVID, we had to wait, but we're definitely planning on giving the opportunities to students in the spring. We also offered a Girls Who Code program this summer. That was really popular. We had a lot of girls who were engaged and excited and wanted to come back for an additional week. So this coming summer, we've already been asked if we could offer, additional weeks of that. And then we also did a coding robotics to kind of get students engaged so they know to take these computer science classes when they go to middle school. And then, of course, like as I mentioned, the Internship Fair, I know Christina will talk a little bit more, but we did one last March. The first one, we had around 66 students who attended, had 12 businesses who participated. This past November, we had a few more students. So we're planning on another one in February. So really hoping to get that number up even more. I was really pleased with the one in March because most of the kids were home, and I was like, there wasn't really anybody in the building encouraging them or telling them to attend. So it was really a great experience, had a lot of great feedback. And so definitely something that I recommend. And then one of the other programs that I'm currently working on is we are starting a call to grow our own, where we're going to be offering internship opportunities for students within our school division. So we've already started it this past fall, where we have students that are in our cybersecurity program who are actually working at our IT help desk at all 7 of our high schools. So the plan is to grow that this summer. So students this summer will apply. We were going to have them placed in various departments throughout our division, because I kind of presented it to our superintendent staff, is that I'm going out and talking to businesses to place our students, but we're also a very large employer. So we need to kind of model that. And so they were all on board. So we're really excited that we're going to be able to pay students, and they're going to work, I think, a minimum of 40 hours next summer in different departments. And one of them is going to be, of course, in our helping with IT, various things like that. And of course, this week, we've been really trying to promote the computer science, and all 10 of our middle schools have a lot of great activities that they're doing to kind of engage students, let them know. Tomorrow, we're planning a district-wide hour code event. So I'm hoping that everybody's going to participate. We've sent out a lot of promotional activities, and teachers can kind of do it, within their classes. So we picked tomorrow because it's an early release day for our elementary students. We figure a lot of times they are looking for something kind of engaging and fun for students to do on those early release days. But it's really meant for K-12. I have some people that are doing something after school clubs, or they can go home and do it. And then we've got the hashtag CPS hour code and a little certificate that they can kind of hold up and share on social media. So I'm hoping that event's going to go well. And then we asked that we have it displayed on our marquees this week for Computer Science Education Week. And then lastly, the curriculum development. We have been integrating those lesson plans and Go Open. I believe a lot of those lesson plans are going to be for elementary. We do have some middle school ones that our teachers have, our curriculum writers worked on, and we're going to be putting those in Go Open as well. We started the 3 classes, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and then we're still going to be working on that curriculum development. It's ongoing. We're able to hire 10 teachers, and of course, we've been offering professional development for those teachers as well. I meet with them regularly. We have them set up in a Google chat, and we're constantly kind of going back and forth and sharing and asking questions. So it's been really great. Does anybody have any questions for me? All right, I'm going to turn it over to Christina.
Thank you, Lori.
Sure.
So I have the pleasure to talk about experiential learning at LCPS. So in 2019, as Nick mentioned, LCPS and Chesapeake Public Schools were awarded a GOVA Grant. I started at LCPS July 2020. When I started at LCPS, I guess one of my first questions to Nick was like, is this like the first time we're doing this? And he was like, yes, this is the first time. So I was really excited because not only was I able to map out a program from scratch, but there was nothing like it at LCPS. We do have a specialty school, the Academies of Loudoun, and they have a placement coordinator who's similar to my role, but they just focus on our academy students. My role is to, which I'll talk a little bit about in the next slide, is more focused on our computer science students. So I'm building a program from scratch, including a handbook, a website, a logo, any and everything as it relates to our internships and mentorships, et cetera. So initially, experiential learning is to bring those real world experiences to our students in the high school level that are interested in computer science. So my role at LCPS is to make sure that I'm connecting our students with these experiential learning opportunities, and just to make sure that they're understanding more about what they're learning in their classrooms and making those connections. Also is to work with business partners to make sure that they're providing our students with these opportunities, especially internships and mentorships, and then to function as a liaison between our students and our business partners as it relates to internships, internship fairs, just guest speaking engagements as well. So here is some of our data as it relates to LCPS. We have hosted 150 plus virtual and in-person internships. Our virtual internships, initially how the process would go is I would work with the business partner because most of the time our business partners have not worked with high school students. They've only worked with college students. So I work with the business partners to create an internship description, some criteria that they're asking for as it relates to students. They know that they're going to be working with students under the age of 18. So we're making sure that there's no security related situations, and then the student would apply. We will create a permission click, and so the students would complete an application, submit a teacher recommendation, and submit their resume. And the business partner would take over and they would handle the interview process. And so once the student is interviewed, it's just like a job or an internship, a college internship. The student will be selected. We do have internships that are paid and unpaid. So the students have a chance to get paid for opportunities as well, but we definitely are excited to have just any opportunities. One in-person, we did have in-person opportunities as well. It was funny in the first session that we did, we connected basically, I was able to work with a company that connected the idea of computer science and the winery agriculture area. So the students were able to go out to the winery, one of our wonderful wineries in Loudoun. They were able to use technology and computer science as it relates to wineries. So it was really cool. Also hosted 4 virtual internship fairs and sketch. So similar to how this event went was similar to how our internship fairs went. We used Google Meet links, of course, for our protection of our students. So our students were able to connect with business partners. And I'll talk about our internship fairs as well. Also developed a experiential learning handbook, which if you click on the link, you may probably will be able to get access to it. And other resources as it relates to our internship fair guide. I have a mentorship guide, and just a sort of different things if you want to build a project like this. And also the creation of LCPS Partner, which I'll discuss as well, which is a team of myself in computer science, our work-based learning specialist in CTE, and also our community connections supervisor. So just wanted to share some of the feedback from our students and business partners with internships. I think that some of the connections that our students are making, our business partners are making, has been really rewarding to our students. I would say the only thing that they didn't like about the internships was that they were virtual. They all wanted them to be in person. And as you can see from some of the feedback that we've gotten from some of the business partners and our students, is that everyone loves these type of opportunities because they're going to connect them to see if they really want to go into computer science. And I think that that's the positive thing about creating this project in experiential learning, is that we're able to help the students decide if they really want to go into computer science or not. The next thing is our internship fairs. We hosted 4 internship fairs so far. All of them virtual through Sketch. So as I mentioned earlier, we created Google Meet links into Sketch, and the students were able to access those links as well. The business partners uploaded documentation about themselves. They uploaded their presentation, their internship stuff, so the students were able to view that stuff beforehand. You can see some of our metrics. I would say that one recommendation is don't have an event in May. Our students, the numbers just dropped really low because of testing, et cetera. I do want to point out our last internship fair on November 1st. So Elevate Loudoun was an all-day event on one of our professional teacher work days. And so the students, it was a connection between our CTE department and then also myself in experiential learning. We had students participate in a resume speed dating session. And so the students were able to connect with business partners and get their resume reviewed. It was a lot of moving parts to get that coordinated, but the students, they submitted their resumes beforehand, and we had a breakout group. The students, they had their resumes reviewed, and then we had a career cluster series where the students, they learned about different careers. They may not be in technology, but they were CTE related, and then we had our internship fair in the afternoon. And here's some of our feedback from our internship fairs. Everything was definitely great for the students. I would say, like, the business partners, they were very surprised, and they're always surprised when I talk to them about how professional our students are, how intelligent they are. They just don't know, and that's the thing that we're dealing with now, is that our community partners don't know how special our students are. And probably for your areas as well, the business partners, community partners, unless they're involved in the school, they don't know how special our students are. And so I think that this has been the most rewarding part for me, is that our business partners are learning how great our students are. And so we want to continue our partnerships with business partners. This brings into a good connection, LCPS partner. So when I first started at LCPS, I was trying to figure out what is the best way to connect our business with the LCPS community. For those that don't know, LCPS has 17 high schools. And so to bring in business partners and try to figure out the best way to get them to our students, teachers, and staff has definitely been entertaining. So we created in 2020 LCPS partner, which consists of myself in computer science, our Cte work-based learning specialist, and then our community connections supervisor. Our community connections supervisor basically oversees all of our business connections. They manage our school business partnership team, which is a team of our community partners that are interested in connecting with our students. And so we were like, hey, we need to be this entry point. So let's say that, you know, this small technology company wants to do an in-person presentation. They can go directly through one of us, and they can connect with one of our high schools. And so we're of course just starting this up since last school year, and we're still trying to figure out the best way to navigate that. But we were able to create that LCPS partner. We're creating an official process that business partners go through. They'll complete a survey, create an MOU. They will complete some safe school trainings to make sure that they know how to work with our underage students, and then also do a background check. So LCPS partner was created that way, and we just hope that from these different opportunities that we can make more connections with our business partners. So here's a Nearpod. We just want to know how many of your school divisions offer internships, mentorships, and apprenticeship opportunities. And then I will pass it over to Nick.
Thanks, Christina. So while you're filling out that survey on the Nearpod, and sorry I had your names up there at first. One thing that we want to be able to offer you all is, I know this is a lot of stuff being thrown at you, but this is stuff that we've created, we've been implementing, and what we want to do is lend ourselves out as resources. So for us, the very first thing, creating an internship is nerve-wracking. And we happen to be working with a company called iQuasar. And Amin is on the School Business Partnership Executive Council. I think, Christina, I could be wrong with that. But Amin was like, hey, iQuasar, love to have students out there. We said, okay. And he said, whoa, because it's almost like businesses have been calling our bluff for the past couple of years, right? We go out to businesses, we say, hey, we really want you to work with our students. And they go, how much? How much do you want? Was it 10,000, 20,000? No, I don't want your money anymore. I get in trouble for saying that, so I try not to. But really, I don't want their money. I want them to provide our kids with authentic learning experiences, because that is what matters. Christina and I have this crazy dream, and we're pulling Lori into it too. Sorry, Lori. But we have this crazy dream that when our kids open up the program of studies, when they come back from the winter break, that in the program of studies, they open up and they go, oh, cool, APCSA. I've been waiting 11 years to take this freaking course because I love Java. It's my jam. But not only do they see that they're going to learn about Java, but then there's a possible internship opportunity with Mantech. There's a possible internship possibility with AWS. That is our dream, to connect those things together so that they see the application of what they're studying in class and actually see it realized through the form of authentic learning. So what can we offer you? This is what we can offer you. We can provide you the model that Christina and Lori have provided, the documents, all that stuff. Well, Nick, we don't have those businesses down in our part of the woods of Virginia. No problem. We've talked about virtual internships. That's pretty much what we've been hosting during the school year, because it's impossible to get kids out of school right now, right? Can't get them out during the day. We tried during study hall. We tried during, with certain regulations. It just doesn't happen that easily. Not like when we were in high school. Remember when you could get out of school early and go to the job and all that stuff? It's just not that easy. But what we can provide you are opportunities to work with companies in Northern Virginia, virtual internships. We can provide those for your students. We can provide mentorships and apprenticeships. They're virtual, but eventually we'll get you those companies, okay? So that's what we want to do. Now, Christina talked about a really nice flow with LCPS partner because, big shock, we were working in silos. Never happens in education. Never. But we were working in silos. We had CTE working on work-based learning experiences. That's mine. I'm not saying that they were ever like that, but it was theirs. Experiential learning. Christina connects with iQuasar, gets 2 kids like internships like that for 15, 20 hours. And those kids are flying high. They loved it. Then we had Community Connections. Well, what's Community Connections doing? He's got school-based partnership. And we're meeting once a month. We're talking to companies, but what are we doing? Stop working in silos. So Christina was able to build that fluidity. We love it because now they're connected. Our school division decided, because of the success that we saw not working in silos, to do a reorg. So in the Department of Instruction, we now have an assistant director who oversees CTE, Community Connections, and computer science together. So now we have a big team of 18. Thank goodness, right? We're seeing that. And these are small free changes that your school divisions can make. Take it back to them. Talk to your leadership about it. Have them contact us and we'll show you exactly what we did with the reorg and why we did it. I also put a QR code on there just because I know that this graphic is really magical and shows you everything about the reorg. It's terrible. So please use that QR code so that you can actually take a look at that Google folder to see our fact sheet and see what the DOI reorg actually looks like. This is very tiny, but this is our pipeline. So again, hope you're on the Nearpod. If not, please make sure you go to the presentation so you can see this graphic. For us, again, it's important that we don't work in silos. What our elementary facilitators do makes an impact with our middle school facilitators, which makes an impact with our standalone courses in middle school as well. So I have Abby and Amy Stelly back there, who are 2 of our 7 elementary instructional facilitators of computer science. Nick, why do you need those? How did you get those? How do you get more? Well, it was a long journey. In 2017, the computer science SOLs came out. Our school division was actually stoked about it, believe it or not. We sat there and said, we need computer science immersion. And so we started grouping our ITRTs together at the elementary and middle school level. And we started trying to integrate computer science from the very beginning using our ITRTs. Abby, what were you before you were an instructional facilitator of computer science?
Instructional facilitator of technology.
AKA ITRT. Amy, what were you until a few weeks ago?
Instructional facilitator of technology, ITRT.
Well, why? Because they understand coaching. We use adaptive schools, cognitive coaching, fierce conversations. We use that expertise that they have with coaching alongside with the idea of integrating computer science and having that understanding. We pulled them in and created a new position for them. Now, is that easy? No, it's not, but that's our model. We can't have the ITRTs do that. They have other things to do. So we pulled them out and made a new position. We have 7 at the elementary school level who service 58 elementary schools, and we have 3 at the middle school level that service 17 middle schools. That's not good enough for me. I hope my boss isn't listening. It's not sustainable or scalable. What it is, it's equitable. I can say that I'm being equal and treating everyone equitably across the school division, which is great, especially with our equipment, but it's still not good enough. 8 schools for those 2 ladies back there is too much time. And so we have to hit them 1 grade level at a time in order to maximize our impact. And even then, that's still not enough time. So we're still trying to tweak that model, but that's the idea. But then we go to middle school. In addition to having facilitators there, we have our standalone courses. So Lori talked about the 3 courses that she developed. We have to have pathways for our middle schoolers. And so what we have is this. We have Introduction to Computer Applications, the course formerly known as keyboarding. Unfortunately, I still have to call it course formerly known as keyboarding because we still have teachers who teach it like it's keyboard. But that's okay, we'll get it. So all of our 6th graders have to take that. They have to. You're lucky. No, I'm just kidding. But then they have a choice in 7th grade. They can take one of 2 classes, which is what this grant has helped us with. Introduction to Computer Science, which we've basically taken the MSCE 36-week course, and we've created that into a full year course. Or they can take Computer Science Foundations. So we stole via DOE's Computer Science Foundations high school elective course, pulled it down into the middle schools. So we now offer those 2 courses at every single one of our middle schools. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that. But what's the pathway after that? Because that's 7th grade. Our kids can either go into intro and have some more scratch, because everyone loves scratch for 7 years. No, I'm just kidding. Or if they're scratched out, never happens, right? They can go into CS Foundations, which is an introduction to text-based programming languages course. Remember back in the day when like middle school was really fun, and you had an introduction to foreign languages course? It's just like that. And then we push our kids to take introduction to robotics design. Why? Because they're getting machine learning. Hallelujah. They're using Python in order to make machines actually do what they tell them to do with programming languages. And they get a high school credit. We love that. And then we put them into high school and we have all these courses available for our kids. We're excited because AP Computer Science Principles is going to be in our program of studies for the first time next year. And so the pathways are important. But as I said earlier, Booz Allen doesn't want our kids necessarily going to college. They want to know that our kids who have those programming skills that are offered to them through these pathways can be taken right out of high school. And that's what we're focusing on with this particular pipeline. Because, oh man, I hope my boss isn't listening to this. College is not for everybody. Some of our kids can't afford college. And some, they benefit by just staying in the schools within your division. My daughter, for instance, got her RPN by going to the Academies of Loudoun for 2 years post-graduation. She graduated from Loudoun Valley High School, went to the Academies of Loudoun, got her RPN. So again, for us, we have to prepare our students for the jobs that don't exist right now. Man, I got preachy right there. All right, here's our enrollment. This is where I like to lie to people a little bit. I love it. So Introduction to Computer Science. This used to be called coding at the middle school. And in 2016, 2017, we had 22 kids enrolled in that class, 22 at Blue Ridge Middle School. This is where I'm a big liar. Last year, we piloted Computer Science Foundations. We had 23 kids. And so what I really like to tell people is, yeah, well, last year we had 922 kids in intro and 23 in computer science. But you can see that like everyone wants to take this course because our enrollment boosted up 2,800%. I was like, whoa, you say 2,800? But what we did is we basically saw that our students were going to be split between those 2 courses. Our enrollment still rose. You can see that we're up to 1,600 kids for those 2 courses, which is impressive. That's up 600 kids. But I like these enrollment numbers, and that's what we're looking at. You can also see that our intro to computer applications, keyboardings, that's steady, but tech of robotic design is also increasing. We're up to 1,100 students taking that class, which is important. I don't know why that slide's duplicated. I talked a little bit about the role of the IFCS, and I know that some of you are asking for that integrated curriculum. So what we're going to do after this presentation, I'm going to email you access to that integrated curriculum, in addition to the slide deck that Abby and I presented yesterday and the day before. But again, the role of our IFCS is to support schools, increase knowledge of our teachers, support teachers, and provide professional development. So we're trying to really hone in on what that model looks like. The curriculum implementation plan. This is, admittedly, I think it's Abby and my favorite part, because we're actually providing you with that curriculum. We honestly believe in order to make our teachers successful, we should not be giving them lesson plans. We should be teaching them how to integrate computer science into their instruction. Now, it takes a little bit of coaxing, right? Can't just say, hey, guess what? We're gonna do computer science today. We're gonna weave it into your math lesson, no problem, piece of cake. No, obviously we have to build a rapport, okay? We have to do a little nuances in order to get our teachers to buy in. We have to do our song and dance, of course we do. What we're doing with this third grade document though, we have 5 measurement tools that we're actually using in order to gauge the success of this curriculum. And they're not on this slide, but essentially what we're doing is this. We're doing a walkthrough, watching the teachers be coached by our instructional facilitators, because that's important. We have to make sure that our instruction with the teachers is being measured. Then we're going to observe the teachers implementing the curriculum. Then we're going to survey the teachers of focus groups, because they love focus groups and surveys, but we're going to keep the surveys really light, like 5-question Likert scale type surveys. All these measurement tools are going to be made available once the research office at Loudoun County Public Schools makes it available. We will share that out with you on our website and actually contact you if you give us your contact information today. One of the last things we're going to do with measurement for student data, because that's the most important part, right? We need to know, are students getting anything out of this? Well, they're not going to know if instruction has really changed. They know that their engagement's going to change. They're going to know that they might be interested more in STEM-based careers. So what we're going to do is going to provide them with the STEM survey. Those of you not familiar with the survey, you can go to NC State's website. The Friday Institute back in 2012 helped NC State create this STEM survey, which helps gauge students' interest in STEM-related career fields. And it starts in 4th and 5th grade, but we think that we can tweak it and provide it to our 3rd grade students just to see what's going on. For us too, why is 3rd, 4th grade important? See a lot of ladies out here, so why is it important? Go ahead.
Build the disposition from the start. If we're looking at creating access for all, these kids need to realize that it's a pathway they can be interested in and something they can do from the start.
That's 100% correct. We lose our girls in 3rd and 4th grade. They start being turned off from STEM and computer science in 3rd and 4th grade. Oftentimes, case studies show it's because us boys take over the group projects and we don't let them play with the robots. We also talk over them. There are also a few other studies that show we just don't provide equitable access like Val said. We need to get our minority students and our girls to not be washed away in our leaky STEM pipeline. And that's our focus. And so we're going to take that collection of data very seriously. So we're implementing this at 14 elementary schools in January. We're very nervous and very excited. And so what we want to do is we want to share that document with you, have you implemented in your school division, and report that data back to us. We're also going to share our data out with you as well. All right, so real quick, and forget the Nearpod for a second. Folks at home, you can put your answers on Nearpod if you want. But where are your teachers in integrating computer science as well? I know some of you filled out the survey earlier this year because Keisha sent it out and your superintendent probably emailed you and said, Keisha, Tennessee, she's asking about computer science information. Can you all fill this out? Scarlett, I bet you were probably asked to fill it out in your division. But where are your teachers in integrating? Are they doing it? Are you all doing it? Success?
With some teachers.
Some? What's the number one obstacle with integrating computer science? What's that?
Materials and how
Materials.
it correlates with their SOL, with the computer science standards SOL.
Yeah. Fear?
Yeah.
I think some of it's a mind shift change because a lot of it they're already doing, they just don't realize it.
Yeah.
And so in our school division, we've worked really hard on division-wide training this year and providing as many resources as we can.
Yep.
But yeah, a lot of them hear it and they're like, oh, I can't. But then they see, oh, wow, I'm actually doing this. It's just called something different, like algorithms and programming. We're learning that. So
Agreed. And so what we're seeing in partnering with companies, those funds are becoming a little bit more available. And so what we want to do is help you all out to get that funding in order to get those robots. Edison robots, now like $30 a pop. We love Edison. Why? Because Edison starts at a Scratch Junior type platform, then it goes to a Scratch platform, then it goes to a Python platform. It's a little weird that you have to connect an audio cord to your computer in order to get the bloody thing to run, but At the same time, it's very simple. Very simple. And what's even better is you don't have to sign a DPA in order to get your students to save their programs from the Edison platform to their Google Drive, which is amazing. But you're right, it's the fear too. It's also, I've been doing this right for 22 years. Why should I change? I'm going to go into retirement with a bang and do the same thing I did 22 years ago. It's not broken. Why fix it? And that's where our coaches start building on that innovation type thing. We build rapport, we try to build on the innovation and try to get them interested. All right, we're going to skip this question in the interest of time, plus we have prizes. But again, building on what you all were talking about, for us, we created a computer science logo. This looks a little messy because I put it in Nearpod and it's not on the Google Drive, but we fuel integration, we spark inspiration, and we ignite innovation. Like this is exactly what we're talking about. We don't give teachers lesson plans, we have them build the lesson plans. When you see our repository come out in the next couple months, that repository is going to be filled with lesson plans created by teachers, not by instructional facilitators, because we want to teach them how to build it on their own. Plus, have you ever tried giving teachers a template and say, fill this out? They love that. They hate it. Just like when their new principal says, this is the way I want lesson plans done. So we're not going to do it. Lastly, this is kind of our model too. We look at managing complex change in this way. The way we're going to get success is by having a vision, by increasing our skills, providing incentives to our teachers, providing the resources like you all said, and having an action plan. You know why we're scared about implementing that third grade curriculum document? Because it means we're actually doing something. And it's scary. But we have to pull the proverbial trigger. We can't keep talking about it. We have to do it. And that's the way we're going to get some success. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Christina and Lori. Really, I've been talking your ears off about curriculum documentation, but really like Christina can do a nice deep dive on Sketch, like how to set that up and how we did our speed dating, our resume speed dating. That was an interesting day. I'm going to tell you what, poor Christina had to sit in a Google Meet with me for like 7 hours and we just parceled kids out into different rooms. I felt so bad for Christina, but we can take a deeper dive. So if you want to just answer this question real quick, like what do you want to take a deeper dive on? Establishing, finding resources, establishing computer science integration, whatever. We can go ahead and take a deeper dive on any of those things. No answer. Finding our resources.
I was going to add, for our division, like we are running the middle school computer science classes through CTE because of Perkins funding. We are looking at adding, bringing in either cybersecurity foundations or IT fundamentals class next year. One of our issues is having where these students are now in computer science, what they're going to take in high school. So we are working on building that. Again, our computer science classes, AP classes run through the math department, and then we have our programming and cybersecurity run through CTE. So it really can go either way. I was going to mention as far as the internship piece goes, the internships that I've been able to do through the computer science, we just establish a minimum of 40 hours. So I think really you can decide within your division the number of hours. Through a CTE side of the house, because I also work in CTE, there are requirements for hours, but those mainly come if a student's going to get an extra credit for the class. You can still run work-based learning experiences and set your own internship hours. Even if it's through CTE, you only have to have a certain number of hours if they're going to get an additional credit. And we don't do that in our division. They're not getting an additional credit for those work experiences. One thing we forgot to mention, we are adding, it's going to be offered this summer with our Grow Our Own program. We're actually offering a course. It's going to be a seminar course, and students are going to be able to take it, and it's through the Department of Ed. I've got the SCED number for it. I can send it to you, but it's basically going to give students the opportunity to work. And so we're going to offer it next summer, and the next school year is going to be built into their schedule. So students can sign up for that class, And we're offering it through our CDA, through our virtual academy. So students can technically have a first block or fourth block where they can leave school and actually have a work experience, and they can get a credit for it. So I can send you that information. I don't know why I didn't mention that, because that's something we just implemented and we're starting next summer and then next year. It's going to be, and really the requirement of the class is they have to work a minimum, I think we had said 6 hours a week, to just so they work the whole semester. We didn't want to say they had to work 40 hours and then the students work 2 weekends, get a credit, get out of school early, and we're done. So it's really not built like that. And so that's something that we are offering next school year. We just went through our curriculum council for it. And so I really think it's going to help those students next year, like these companies that are 9 to 5 and students don't have time in their day. But if they built this in their schedule, they can either do something in the morning or if they could do something in the afternoon.
Thanks, Laura. So I did see that most people want to find our resources. So if you go to goopenva.org, which I don't know if it's just me, but I see like GOVA. I gotta talk to Gene about that. But if you go under Discover, if you click on collections under Discover, that's where you're going to see our branded logo for the computer science pipeline. And it's going to be right over here. Gene was so kind as to provide us with a just kind of nonstop featured topic right here, Virginia K-12 computer science pipeline. You can see we have 93 resources up there right now. The integrated curriculum documents are not up there at this time. I will email those to you in the next 30 minutes. But this is where all of our stuff from both school divisions are going to be. And that's where we're going to be putting lesson plans that our teachers develop based on the coaching that our instructional facilitators are going to do. All right, we do have prizes and then, oh, go ahead. Question, I love questions.
I have a question about your metrics. What's your goal number for the enrollment in AP classes and your some of those other numbers like matriculation into a computer science degree program or something like that? What are your goals for that?
So that's a really good question that we actually don't have an answer for. So right now for us, we have to report back to Go Virginia and DHCD. Right now, they just want to see an increase in the number right now. When we get to year 3, they want to see a continued increase. So our funding stops after next year. But after 3, 4, 5, they want to see an increase. And then we start building on what those numbers actually look like. So that's a good question. Right now, they just want to see increase. At year 5, that's when we start building metrics. So we kind of have a foundation that we're laying down, but we don't have like actual numbers. Good question. Because that's what we asked first. We're like, what are the numbers? And you're like, we just want to see an increase because we don't think there's going to be one. So.
Do you know how many kids you've placed in internships? I'm just curious.
288.
Oh, wow.
So 168 for LCPS.
And we have 112.
Okay.
Awesome.
One thing that we can tell you right now, and I know we have 1 minute left, and I don't want to take the next group. But for those of you who don't have a Girls Who Code Club partnership, please establish one. One of the best things that we did with Girls Who Code was not just create those clubs, because the clubs are cool. We love the clubs. But as Christina will tell you, in the summer, and Lori will tell you, in the summer, Girls Who Code will find internships for our girls and connect them to companies in 10th and 11th grade. Here's the better part. If those girls have full-time jobs where they are supporting their family, they will cover their lost wages. If they cannot provide transportation on their own, Girls Who Code will provide transportation for those girls to those internships. We were able to get 31, 33 internships.
We were able to get 28 with girls.
I think we had 10.
And that was up from 3 last year. We went from 3 to 28. And those girls got internships. They built their PLNs. They were able to build their resumes, and they got their wages covered. So we love Girls Who Code. I just said that again. I always say that. Everyone looks at me. I love Girls Who Code. All right. I'm not ashamed. All right. Messing up the prize wheel. Just go back to Nearpod, Nick. Just stay on script. All right, here we go. So we have this bit.ly link, CS pipeline _ participants, or you can scan the QR code. We just have a few questions. Like I said, we want to actually continue to connect with you all. So we're going to send you an email. We want to make sure that we're corresponding with you back and forth. So we're going to give you a few seconds, not minutes, to pop in that information and fill out that form. We do have 2 books that we're going to give away. We're educators, so we like books. These are books that we give away to our facilitators. Well, not give away, we have them read them. The first one is Lemons to Lemonade. This is a really great one to help increase coaching. And so we like Lemons to Lemonade. And then if you are not focused on project-based teaching, I mean, why wouldn't you be? So project-based teaching is the other book we're going to give away. And then, of course, before you leave, we do have our LCPS computational thinking stickers. We did use Ignite My Future's 7 components of computational thinking, and we built our own iconography. You can take those back to your school division and use this iconography with your students. You have full permission to do so. We paid for it for that reason. And then Abby's amazing neighbor baked these cookies that Christina told you all were delicious. So please grab stickers and cookies before you leave. Let's look at the wheel of prizes. I love the wheel. Wheel's not been my friend today, Joey. No friends, fans out there, really. Just I think I did this to the last group, the last time, I'm going over time. Is this the right one? That's the third one. Yeah, it's the yes one. Oh no. Come on, Nick. And I promise Christina, Lori, and I will stand outside afterwards to answer any individual questions before I leave. I wish I had known that this wheel existed before. This thing is so cool. Check this out. Come on, computer. Copy. This is so easy. Watch. That's so cool. All right, here we go. For the Lemons to Lemonade book, resolving problems in meetings, workshops, and PLCs, Valerie.
That one. There's 2 down.
Well, then give it to a teacher, Val.
I'll take it now.
We'll talk.
Also, make sure you check out Skillstruck over at the exhibit hall, please and thank you. Valerie's very nice. Her program is really awesome.
Yeah, and they also offered internship. They were at the Internship Fair on November 1st.
I've been biting my tongue wanting to vouch for your internship fair because it was amazing. It was so well done. The app, yeah, I don't want to dominate the time, but if anybody wants to know from the event or the partner perspective, like they did a really good job. Their students are amazing.
Thank you.
Rachel Kincaid.
Oh, that's me.
Oh, there you go, Rachel. Congratulations. Here's your book.